and I am all of those things, and that's why you're here watching Perk the Nerd. All right, today I'm joined by Noah, who is going to be talking with me all about basically this crazy virus that's going around and how it's affecting pretty much everyone, but particularly how it's affecting the movie industry, the gaming industry, and streaming industries in general online. So, Noah, how you been?
Doing all right, man. Not doing too bad in the midst of the apocalypse.
Yeah, you're holding together?
Yeah, not doing too bad. I mean, for people like you and me who have been playing video games our whole lives, we've been training for this day.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's kind of funny. I was seeing a meme where it was that picture of The Office, and it's with young Michael Scott, and he's shaking hands. He's shaking hands with like his old boss or something, and it's basically saying like the government telling you to stay inside, and it's like us gamers or something where it's like we're pretty much already doing that anyway. We just have to now we're just basically getting credit for it. I don't know. So yeah, it's gonna be also, this game's pretty cool looking. I'm gonna get a kick out of this. This is my first time ever playing it. I have a good authority that Noah still has my phone charged. By the way, Philip, is your comments going through? Are they going through on the dashboard here? I don't know if your comments are able to. Let me know if you're able to respond on here, Philip, and we can get you. So today we're going to be just talking about, and by the way, it looks like it's working now. So, sweet. So it must have fixed it. We're going to be talking all about that. I kind of just want to get your general thoughts on like what's going on, and how do you feel about how it's affected you as like a gamer, a moviegoer, just everything in general. How do you feel like it's affected you?
I mean, me personally, like with my circumstances, it hasn't actually affected me too much. I was like super worried about being able to find a job over the past few months, and then once this whole thing hit, it got to the point where I was like, I kind of don't need a job, do I? Not anymore, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot less to spend on when you can't go outside.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's been telling us to stay inside, and hey, if that's the best thing, then I'm all for that. But,
I'll do my part.
But, yeah. In terms of consuming media, though, as a gamer, it's been, I mean, fantastic, really. Just because, what better excuse to stay inside and play video games than
that's
like
true.
This. But other than that, I mean, I don't really go to the movie theater. I don't have any online streaming services anymore. I got rid of all my subscriptions. So video games has been my primary focus.
What made you get rid of your subscriptions? I'm curious. Just money?
Yeah, just trying to cut down on savings, because I don't know if you've seen like any of those commercials where it's like, this person is spending money on an online service that they stopped using years ago, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's some ad for like a service that tracks your bank account and shows you what you're paying for and things like that. But I was like, that got me thinking one day. I was like, damn, like what kind of things am I paying for right now that I just stopped thinking about?
Right.
So I went through all the services that I have, and I got rid of a lot of them, because most of them I just don't really use anymore. Netflix and Hulu I really don't use anymore. The only streaming service that I really kept was Verve for anime.
Okay.
So
use Verve, not Crunchyroll?
Yeah, well, Verve has everything on Crunchyroll anyway, so that's a good one to use. Because like the selling point for Verve was that it has a whole bunch of stuff from Crunchyroll and Funimation, and like a whole bunch of other online streaming services, like all packed into one. But from what I understand, I believe Funimation pulled their content, so it's like just Crunchyroll right now and like some other stuff. But it's still a good service. I still use it a lot. So.
And real quick question: have you played this game before?
Plague Inc? Oh yeah.
All right. Am I trying to spread the disease or contain it?
No, you're trying to infect the entire world.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, Plague Inc. is a very addicting and fun game that I like a lot.
Yeah. So I want to really quick, I want to kind of touch on Mr. Otter. I think it's cool. I think it's smart of you to start figuring out what things you're using and not using. I don't do that very well. I probably should. But Mr. Otter's making a good point too. He's saying, I didn't have to make any choices. I'm already an antisocial hermit, which I think is both of us as well. Dislike not being able to choose to go out, right? And I think that's a big thing. I'm worried for the possible implications it could have later in the year. Trying hard to grab a summer internship, and who knows who will actually be hiring in a few months. It's a really, really good point. It's going to affect a lot of people economically, and I think we're going to see a lot of interesting developments in the very near future. It's going to really depend on how long this thing lasts. But
yeah, for sure.
At the end of the day, the big thing that we're here to talk about is the fact that we're not like, geopolitical experts necessarily. We're here to kind of talk about the nerdy implications, right? Us people that already stay inside and don't leave much anyway. We're the ones that we're playing the games and we're hanging out here. We want to know what the implications are on that, right?
Yeah.
So, let's kind of break right into it, and let's talk about. I want to talk about the gaming industry first, particularly. I've heard a lot of people, and this is just an interesting discussion, that a lot of people are saying that this is the death of physical media. And this is, for me, that's kind of, I remember I brought this up to you earlier and you were like, yeah, that's completely an exaggeration, right?
Yeah, I was skeptical for sure.
And I wanted to kind of break down, I guess I want to play devil's advocate to that, and let's just kind of try to see why that could be the case, or what's really exactly going into it. Before I do that, sure. Can you tell me what I'm supposed to be doing right here?
So, basically what you do, it's like a resources manager kind of game.
Right.
So what happens is that you create the disease, and then you launch it into the world. You pick your starting country, wherever you want the disease to start. And then from there, you just kind of let it grow little by little. And the more it grows, the more points you get. And the more points you get, the more you can use those points to spend on making the disease either more lethal or more infectious, things like that. And you just build it up so that you can infect the entire world.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so I'd be in here. And I evolve one of these.
Hold on, I am not looking at the stream right now. Give me a hot second. Let's see what you're looking at. Okay, yeah. So,
yeah, okay, I get that now. Okay, I'm starting to understand. I get DNA points, and then I use them to...
And then you put those points into upgraded, I guess abilities, you might say. Upgrades.
This is very interesting how it
But there's an element of strategy to it too, right? Because there's like the severity and the lethality of each new symptom makes it easier to detect. So, you know, countries might be able to come up with a cure faster if you make it like super lethal right off the bat. The key to this game that I've discovered, number one, always start in, well, usually I like to start in like the Middle East because that usually seems like the best kind of, I usually get the best results that way. But if you want to make it easy, you start in either Greenland or Madagascar, because those are always the hardest countries to infect. And then you make the disease as non-lethal as possible throughout the entire game until like wait as long as you can to make it lethal.
Right. Huh. Yeah, I kind of went for, and it's very interesting, like kind of the implications that this has, and it kind of speaks levels to our situation that we're actually dealing with, which is crazy because, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, the amount of people that, like you're saying, when it's highly infectious and not as lethal, which it is lethal, the coronavirus, but when it's not as lethal, it spreads a lot quicker, especially when it's asymptomatic. Like, look at how I just did it, because it was just so infectious, but not lethal. So that's like,
it's interesting, yeah, for sure. It gives a bit of insight into the kind of stuff we're dealing with now, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
But
so is this a quick
mentioned,
game?
I'd say, I'd say a game can last up to like 30, 45 minutes, give or take.
Okay. Mr. Otter said, interesting point on this being the death of physical media. Physical media has been on the decline as it is, and with streaming and being able to rent videos from other digital services, even most major game platforms, lots of people just buy it digitally because you need to download it anyway. So let's get into that. The big thing, there's two aspects when we're talking physical media, okay? We're going to talk the gaming industry, and we're going to talk about the movie industry. All right?
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I was originally saying let's move into the games, but I think it's going to be better to start with movies because there's a lot of topics on both, but I think there's some more positives for the gaming, and I'd rather end on a positive note. So let's go towards the movie industry. The movie industry has taken a huge hit because, particularly due to sorry, I'm trying to figure some stuff out. It's taking a huge hit, the movie industry, because obviously people are being put on quarantine or having to stay at home, and a lot of businesses are getting shut down in a lot of different places around the world. So, I mean, there's a lot of question of like, how is that going to turn out? Because I mean, the reality is, people can't go to the movie theaters. And a lot of people think that the movie theaters are this big, strong, too big to fail kind of idea, but they aren't that anymore. I mean, really, the movie industry, movie theaters primarily survive on concession sales. Okay, so if you don't have people coming through fast and doing getting concessions, then you're not making a lot of money. Most of the money that comes from the actual box office, like the actual ticket sales, that stuff is going mostly to the movies themselves, the producers of the film. So those companies that are backing it that way. And so the reality is, movie theaters are getting hit very, very hard. And in fact, like we're talking about, I remember a while back when we were discussing the Oscars, me and Mr. Otter there were talking about AMC A-List, right? And we're talking about how this is this is the best thing you could get right now. This is perfect because it allows you all these movies for free. obviously it's a subscription service, and we talked this up, and that's a really good deal. But they only started turning a profit. I mean, they were really betting on it because they needed something like that to get people into the movies. People are still going, but not. But I mean, really, you needed way more people come in. The reason they're offering movies at such a discounted rate is because they want you to get in for concession sales. That's where they make the money. And so, this happened, and A-List had they took a loss in the beginning so that they could make a profit, and they just started turning a profit with A-List last quarter, meaning the last 3 months of last year. Okay.
Right.
And the reality is that sounds good, except you realize the first quarter they turned a profit. If you don't win, I'm unfollowing. All right, I guess I'll win. This is my first time ever, so you're gonna have to give me a little of a break here. But no, I think, and so the reality is, you're talking about this. This place that you want to think that it's never gonna fail, but the reality is that's not always the case, and you need to be kind of understanding the fact that hey, as much as we want it to succeed, that really might not happen here. And we're looking at AMC, if they can't get people in buying concessions, then they're not making money. And I'm thinking of I have 2 AMC theaters near me, and I don't see any way that these AMC theaters survive this if they have to go a few more months without it. And I'm not saying that movie theaters are going to die out. Movie theaters are not going to die out. And as soon as the virus stops, and even if that and after a couple months of people starting to take a little bit more. By the way, I got Greenland.
Oh, sick.
Start to take more, as the movie people start to go back to the theaters, we are going to see a fix. We're in that, and people are going to start going back to the movies. The problem is a lot of these theaters are going to be shut down by then, and only really the big theaters are going to be still around. So for that trust to return back in the market, for people to start opening movie theaters, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while for people to start going back into the theaters, and really actually trying to make it back out. Also, wow, this is spreading quickly. I got into Madagascar.
Damn, dude.
I don't know what I did. I guess I did well. I'll have to make it a harder mode.
You'll have to wait and see how fast they start to develop a cure, because that's when shit really hits the fan.
You think they're still going to get one?
They might. They very well might. Because that happens real quick. You have to start putting points into what's the word? Invulnerability to medicine and stuff like that.
Right. Oh, is that a thing?
Yeah, on the abilities tab on the right. Yeah, resiliences. So you got to start working on those. You do have to do it strategically though, because over time,
no, I'm on normal mode.
if they start developing medicines and you can't advance the resiliences any further, then you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
So you got to play it smart.
Yeah, I got to get into North America more importantly. No, I think So I mean, here's the thing: is just going back to the movie theaters. I think that the problem is we're gonna have to figure out some serious stuff for businesses, and this comes into what. Sorry, I kind of fell off the track over here for the chat, but Wolf of Gain Street. Oh, that's actually really great. I didn't catch the pun there. Wolf of Gain Street. The stimulus package better be sweet or a deal for corporate America or everyone will suffer. I agree, small, and particularly small businesses, because here's the reality, when you're talking about AMC is, if I'm not mistaken, a franchise. So they're actually relying on each one has to survive on its own. You're not getting bailed out. If it's not profitable, they're not sticking around. And we're talking I'm not talking about the big city movie theaters that they're going to survive because, you know, they're already like these massive entities, but like, oh wait, no. They got a cure. Am I going to get hit? Oh no, they finished a cure.
You gotta be careful. It's all in the timing.
The reality is like we have to see what, you know, is going to happen, but the reality is like I honestly, it doesn't look good for small town movie theaters, and that makes up a large portion of people that are going to the theaters. You know, so I mean, so even if like, you know, it's people don't want to drive 2 hours, 3 hours to the movies, and the reality is, if that could easily become a reality because these small town theaters, they don't have the money to survive like 6 months without business, right? Unless there's some government plan that says, hey, we're gonna chill out. Did it freeze? What's going on? What? How did I lose?
Because they finished the cure and everyone got cured.
Oh, dang. Okay, I misunderstood how this game works. I thought they were going to start going away. And Raider said a good point. Drive-ins were already dying. That was the first sign. But here's the thing. I mean, drive-ins left because, like, no one wants to listen to it from their radio, right? Like, it's an experience, but it's not like the movies. It's not the cinematic experience that movies were becoming. And I think I don't think we're going to have any issue with these big theaters dying out. But small town theaters are going to be gone. If we have to go 6 more months like this, they're going to be gone. And sure, eventually, you know, as people start to go out and want to see movies again, more theaters will open up. Will they be the same brand, like same chains? Probably not. They might. I mean, people might not even branch out. And the reality is that has bigger implications for movies in general.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
it could infect, or rather, it could affect the entire industry if movie theaters start going.
Because I mean, why should they make, like, now you're going to talk about should we go, and this is honestly the reason I brought it up is because, like, this is why we're talking physical media, because should movies start getting pushed into direct to video, right? And this comes at around time where movies are not only, let's talk about, there's two parts of this, right? Because the first part is movies getting pushed back. Okay, so with this virus spreading, movie theaters are shutting down, and we have these movies getting pushed back a year behind. You know, some of them are getting pushed back to August, some are getting pushed back to November, and some of them are getting pushed back. Like Fast 9 was like, we're gonna move all the way to like the February of next year, right? Even though it's supposed to come out like next week. And
yeah, well, I mean, I'm of the personal opinion that Fast 9 should wait until eternity to release that.
I think we're all on that boat. I mean, you don't want to see John Cena though?
Oh God, as if the world hasn't had enough of John Cena.
I think they.
I don't even know why they're putting him in the movie. We can't see him.
Literally, why would you go to the movie? He's not even going to be. I thought. See, honestly, the funny thing is, I didn't know he was going to be in 2 movies this year.
Is he? What other movies is he?
The Invisible Man.
Good meme. Good meme.
I know. I'm sorry. I had to do it. But the thing is, when we're like, movies are getting pushed back, and movies that are in theaters or were supposed to be in theaters are now getting put on direct to video. So, for example, Invisible Woman, Harley Quinn, and a couple others went direct to video, and they were out for theaters for a little bit, but then they're like, hey, instead of waiting a while, we're gonna go straight to streaming, to video on demand, so you can pay to watch it for those that didn't get to see it in theaters. And now people, DC is looking, and Warner Brothers is looking at putting Wonder Woman 84 on, doing a direct to video release too. And the idea is, like, a lot of them want to continue with, like, you know, their same track. They don't want to mess the timeline of their other movies. But there's a lot of implications, because even the movies that are getting pushed back, a lot of them are getting pushed back to the same time frame as other movies that were slated to be released. And so the problem is now you're going to have this big bottleneck where 4 big blockbusters are released in the same 2 weeks, and that's not sustainable because everyone's not going to see all 4 blockbusters, right? And
Right.
so typically a lot of these big blockbuster movies rely on being on their own weekend.
Yeah.
So that they're the priority. But when all these big blockbusters are together, that's a big issue. Mr. Otter made a good point. Onward 2 is only in theaters for like a week. Poor Dune. That's even better point. Dune is literally.
Yeah.
I mean, Dune was supposed to be this like really promising movie, and now it has to deal with all of these other people, all these other movies that it got just slated on the same time slot. So that's going to be a big issue that we're going to see there, because it's honestly, it's hard to say because it's going to be a lot of things being pushed together, right? Dune's going to really take the brunt of a lot of. It was supposed to be a really good movie. Now we're going to see it. Wolf of Gaines. I keep wanting to say Wolf of Angst. Wolf of Gaines Street said Fast 9 is garbage. Going back to what we were talking about earlier. The thing is, like, there is literally so many implications that we can't even think about. Like, but direct to video, a lot of people are like, well, if they go direct to video, does that mean that like the future of movies is going to be direct to video? Like, are movie theaters going to die, and then people aren't going to go out to the theaters anymore? Instead, they're going to watch them on demand, and movies are going to be made to go on demand. And I say no, but I want to hear.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah,
Nope.
and this is my answer. Like, this is my answer for just about like every for like the death of physical media as a whole, as well as like with movie theaters, stuff like that. It's like maybe we'll use those things as like a temporary option, with the crisis going on right now. But people would much rather see the movies they want to see in a theater. There's still a demand for that, right?
Right.
It's not that physical media and going out to the theater and things like that. It's not like those things are no longer in demand. It's just that it's not really feasible to utilize those things because of what's going on. So once those things, once those services, once those stores and all, digital media or physical media rather, once it's, safe to be able to go and, do those things and go to those places, see those movies, people are going to definitely do it. It's just a matter of what's going to happen to those businesses in the meantime is the big question.
Yeah. And that is the big question, because it's like, I think some people are mistakenly thinking that direct to video can make as much money as movies can make in box offices, which is fundamentally
absolutely
false.
not. Yeah, absolutely not. No way.
Right? So like, because we have to think like if direct to video became the standard, movie quality would drop drastically.
Yeah.
Like the amount of
No, for
budgets
sure.
getting put into direct to video movies would be awful. No one wants to see that. Also, Wolf of Gaines made a good point. I mean, he said they could have an online broadcast of new movies, and I think that's the best option for some movies. Like,
yeah.
I think some movies that are in this situation, rather than putting them back, should be like, we could probably cut our losses and go direct to video. So my examples, I think any movie under 100 million probably could just do direct to video. Or you could sell it to a streaming service and say, you know what? We're going to make this movie a Netflix exclusive instead.
That might not be a bad idea.
Let's cut our losses. Let's make a deal with Netflix for slightly over what our budget was, so we can make some money back. They get to put it on there and get more traffic in this time. They can market it as, hey, we got this movie and now it's Netflix exclusive, and not everything's cut. They can kind of cut their losses on it. I think those are some of our options for under $100 million budgets. There are a lot of movies, big blockbusters cannot do that. Like Wonder Woman 84, they were talking about doing that. Dumb move. very, very dumb move. Like that would be,
Yeah.
there's no way they wouldn't make their money back. Like they wouldn't, there's no chance that they could make their money back in that situation. I mean, it's, for some though, it's a really good idea. For just having an online broadcast would probably make it easy to rip it and put it up on torrent channels. That's another good point. A lot of people are going to cut off. The other thing you have to think about is the global market. For America, it works to put all these movies out, right? But it doesn't work everywhere else. If you put it on a streaming service, there are a lot of countries that don't have access to those streaming services. Now they can't watch that movie. Right, so that's one of the bigger issues too that you run into, is that you honestly you just can't that you just run into that issue because you can't have them watch it, and you need to have access to the global market. That's where you make most of your money, especially for a lot of titles like superhero titles and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and do you think Warner Brothers regrets moving Wonder Woman 84 back a year? It was supposed to come out a year ago. I think they regret a lot of things. Warner Brothers is notorious for making mistakes, and I don't think this is the first one.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, it's definitely they're not the brightest. I'm not exactly a Warner Bros. Fan right now. Not that they haven't done good things in the past, but I can't think of them right now. So
none are coming to mind.
Yeah. Make some live stock. I think I'm doing better this round. And I mean, what do you guys? So I'm curious what you guys think. I mean, but here's the thing: is like, the biggest one right now, the hot topic for that is the big one about should we go direct to video is Black Widow. A lot of people are like, Black Widow's just got pushed back to an undetermined date. And no one really knows. Is that something that should be pushed back? Also, I noticed Mr. Otter said, did Tenet get moved yet? Not as far as I'm aware yet. And I don't believe the coronavirus means the Snyder Cut. So I don't even want to think about that.
Rip.
But the Snyder Cut. Do you know what the Snyder Cut is?
I forget which movie, but I know the general. I'm not.
Yeah,
for any of those watching or listening, I'm not too involved in the comic book movie space. So
yeah, it's basically Zack Snyder's made his own supposed cut of the Justice League, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's this
Justice League,
glorious
that's right,
movie."
yeah.
But even though it wasn't really actually like, it was a written cut. Like it's not like fully edited. Like it's not finished. People always thought it was. I will not see Black Widow unless New Mutants gets released. Give up. New Mutants is going. It's gone. Also, I think. Also, let's be honest. Black Widow going to be direct to video quality anyway. You think
I don't
so?
think. Yeah, it is not enticing to me.
Oh, see, I loved it. I love the trailer. I love everything about it.
No, it just didn't do it for me. I don't know. Maybe it's just maybe I'm just like not interested in Black Widow as a whole. But yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's not going to do too well.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I honestly actually think it's going to be one of the best movies of the next phase, because Black Widow just I don't know. Marvel's done really good with their like grounded MCU movies. Those have been my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And that seems like a grounded MCU movie that's doing its own thing, and I like that idea. Also, I don't know what's going on right now. Did I beat it? Yes.
You infected everybody, but now you have to kill everybody.
Oh, so now I have to make it fatal.
Yeah. So, pump up that lethality and the infectivity.
Right.
That's what's going to net you the win.
I don't know how to get points. I'll have to figure that out. Okay, I'm learning about this game. Yeah, so the thing is, I actually am super excited for Black Widow, but a lot of people are wondering what even to do with the MCU, and that's another one. Is like now they're talking AMC could get shut down. You know, there's the discussion we talked about last week with you know, Apple and like being able to buy Disney and that whole crazy thing.
Right.
We talked about a lot of different really interesting things that have come out of this, and I don't know what to think about it. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that AMC could be shut down after this? Like, because literally, the Wrap basically said, the Wrap.com, which basically came out and said, financial analysts are looking at AMC and they think AMC might not survive this. Do you think that is something that's reasonable? Do you think AMC could, you know, fall through their cracks in this?
I mean, yeah, it's always a possibility. I mean, I'll be honest, I did not think, you know, I didn't assume that AMC was doing well to begin with,
Right.
even without this crisis. Like, I think I saw like an ad for like AMC's, like their website for streaming and all that. And I remember thinking to myself like, oh yeah, that exists. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's like
Oh, no.
kind of where a lot of people are, you know, when it comes to AMC. I mean, like, AMC's got some like pretty good shows, but I mean, you've got like, I'm pretty sure The Walking Dead is still on Netflix, right?
I think so.
And
Yeah.
and so is Mad Men. So it, like, right now it doesn't really seem worth it to have you know, to have AMC's service. I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. If you asked me the same question like before all of this, then I would have told you that I'm surprised they aren't already dead. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I would not be surprised in the slightest if AMC went dead.
Yeah.
Because of this.
I think what we're gonna see happen with AMC instead, I think we're gonna just see a lot of downsizing.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna completely go. Mr. Otter, you didn't miss too much. We were just talking about now whether or not we actually think AMC could go bankrupt, it could go under. I think the only thing that I could see happen is maybe one of these big companies buys out AMC. Like, I know some people have talked. So I don't know if you guys are aware, there's a law that doesn't allow movie producers, like movie companies that make movies, to own the theaters. But I think that, if I'm not mistaken, that law recently got taken away. Basically,
Really?
It was like, so now, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me, and if one of you knows if I'm being wrong about this, correct me. But if I'm not mistaken, that recently, very recently, just got basically undone that law. So now you can actually have the movie creators own the theaters. So one thing we could see is potentially maybe one of these companies could buy it out. Like Sony could buy out AMC and make them Sony theaters, or Disney, or Apple.
Yeah.
That could be a possible thing. I'm not sure how plausible that is, to be honest with you, but it'd be something. I mean, that'd be even broader implications. And that's the thing, is like, there's so much uncertainty in a time like this, where it's like, I mean, we just talked about like 100 different scenarios of things that could happen, could go wrong, that could change. We're gonna be it almost seems like we're gonna be living in an entirely different world for media when we get out of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think in terms of the movie industry, we're not sure. And the second one that we're really not sure about is the gaming industry. And this comes out, actually, I want to thank Philip, if you're still in the chat, for bringing this one up. Don't let Disney buy anymore. We'll try.
Also, Burke, real quick before you get into that, I wanted to clarify something. We were
Yes.
talking about AMC. Did you mean AMC the theaters or AMC the TV channel, like the
Oh, I'm sorry, the
production
theaters.
company. Oh, well, now I look like an idiot.
Oh no, you're fine.
I was over here talking about fucking Mad Men and The Walking Dead.
Oh, I missed that. I kind of missed the connection you're saying. I think they are related, though, right?
No, I'm pretty sure they're two entirely different companies. Although
I kind of like, I must have like blanked because it sounded like you were making valid arguments to me. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, AMC, the channel, has their own like website with their own streaming service. So I was like, oh yeah, that's what we're talking about. That makes sense.
Hold up. Let's revisit this then. What are your thoughts on the movie theaters?
Okay, well, yeah. So the movie theaters, they could, they could absolutely go out of business. I mean, especially now with laws like, with laws like New Jersey's, where businesses like that are, they have to be shut down during this time. And given the fact that we don't know how long this is going to last, that could end up being like a huge issue. They could definitely end up tanking. Right. But again, I think it depends on how long this crisis lasts, and how severe the losses are for AMC. Those will be like the huge. Those will be the really like telling things that come out of this.
Yes, it did start in China, Jake. You can select where it started.
You chose to start it in China?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Because I'm not feeling tasteful, I guess.
That's in very bad taste, but...
It's in very bad taste.
I'll let it slide.
Yeah. About that. I don't know. Yeah, I think honestly, we're going to see movie theaters... the whole thing changed. And it's crazy because like we're coming out of a time where like, and it's the same. So you look at the stock market, you look at movies, you look at everything, pretty much in general, everything has been doing well across the board. Like businesses, money, like the stock market, like everything's doing well, was doing well.
Yeah.
And then really like this kind of just was like the perfect storm that was like, hey, all these businesses that were just barely getting by, like you're done for, That's the same reason, like support your local restaurants if they're still, selling takeout and stuff like that. People have said that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like there's a lot of small businesses getting hit, and movie theaters in a lot of cases are small businesses. That's one of those things that people forget. But particularly moving into that. One of the big ones that people, to be honest, I'm not super surprised, but I do want to thank Philip for bringing this up because I didn't know about this, but just a few days ago, I don't know if you remember, and it became a popular meme in like a matter of minutes, but GameStop declared itself as an essential store.
Yeah.
Right? In the time where it was like all non-essential businesses must shut down, and they're like, we're an essential business, the GameStop, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone needs to sell their PS4 for $2 so that they can get the Animal Crossing for $2 less. So naturally, it is an essential store. But very, very shortly after, literally like it felt like minutes that I had, like that I was aware of it that before it came out. They declared that they're shutting down a significant number of stores.
Yeah.
So, what's your thought on that?
Well, first of all, I got to get this out there. GameStop is in no way an essential business, even to the gaming community.
Exactly.
So let's just get that out of the way. Second, I think GameStop is really scared right now. I think even before any of this started, I think GameStop was really scared about, where their, what direction their business was going in and things like that.
Right. And I didn't even know that, to be honest with you, I didn't even know it was a serious, like it was still relevant. I honestly thought it was going to go bankrupt 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's the only reason it's still, like a relevant business is because it essentially has a monopoly on brick and mortar gaming businesses.
Right.
I mean, like it's really the only place you can go for anything video games related anymore.
Even though you can go to Walmart and Target too.
Yeah, you could go to Walmart and Target, but like
no one does.
I still think some people do, but like I think like in terms of like brick and mortar stores that are solely for things video games related,
right.
GameStop has it. I mean, like it was, I mean, at this point it was a while ago now, but it was probably like 5 or 10 years ago. It seemed like it was GameStop and EB Games, and then I think GameStop bought EB Games. So at this point, it's like, you know, there's no like real fight. Yeah. There's no competition anymore. GameStop just has it now.
Which, by the way, there are EB Games in Australia.
Are there really?
Still around.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, Mr. Otter said, I think they reasoned it as selling tools. Them selling tools that would be useful for students and people who need to get work from home. I once saw a presentation where people had to revitalize dying brands. And the group who had GameStop flat out said that GameStop was not worth saving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
But
you're right.
But yeah, like I was saying, like I think GameStop has been scared for a long time in terms of their business and how well it's been doing. Everybody knows, like, at this point that GameStop is a meme, like, by itself, not even including what's happened over the past week.
Right.
So I think they're worried about where their business is going, and now with this, I think they wanted to take every opportunity to, you know, keep their profits. Right. So I think the biggest thing was, honestly, I think they just wanted to hold out until the Animal Crossing Doom Eternal launch. And like, you know, they were even from what I saw, they were even like selling those things like early, like on like the night of March 19th instead of you know, like after midnight on the 20th.
Right.
But like, I think those were the true, like those were the big sales that they wanted to make before they finally put their foot down and, you know, swallowed their pride and said, okay, I guess we're gonna have to close.
Yeah. And it is sad. I mean, it's definitely the death of an era. I think we're gonna see GameStop. I mean, obviously they're not permanently like fully closed, right? They're just closing a lot of the stores, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think, actually, I'm not going to promise anything because I haven't seen the most recent news on that.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say for certain, but from what I imagine, they're just closing, you know, they're just temporarily closing their stores.
Yeah.
Because of the crisis. If they decided this early to close their stores, like completely shut down, period, I'd be incredibly surprised.
Yeah.
Especially considering how, like, you know, stubborn GameStop has been about, you know, trying to stay open and trying to, you know, keep up profits.
Right. But I mean, it doesn't seem like it's a very solid market anymore for them. I mean, we were just talking about within the group when Animal Crossing came out, and everyone was like, I don't think it's worth going when I could just get it on digital. Like, most of you were going to get it on digital anyway. And the rest of you were like, yeah, I was going to go, but I'm not going to go because of this. I mean, so it has to wonder, like, the digital copy is really replacing the physical copy for a lot of people. So, as it is.
Yeah, but there is still a market for people who want a physical copy, because I mean, you have plenty of like collectors and, you know, people who just like the aesthetics of having you know, like a physical item on their, you know, on their shelf to add to their games, as opposed to cluttering their hard drives and stuff like that.
That's a good point.
I still, and, you know, there's also, you know, like, other accessories and stuff like that, like other stuff to get along with, video games. There's always like, there's always people like parents and grandparents who are buying stuff for their family who have no idea what they're doing. So they always want to go to like a physical like brick and mortar store and be able to say like, what do the kids like, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think there's still a market for physical brick and mortar stores. I just think for this situation in particular that we're dealing with over the past month, it was way better to just stick to digital media especially for video games. I mean, not to get sidetracked, but that's usually the route that I take anyway when it comes to new releases for video games.
Right.
Solely because when the game releases at midnight, you have it at midnight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's usually what I go for when I get new releases. But again, you still have people who are going to want the physical copy on their shelves and things like that. So I think GameStop's biggest problem is just their just the way they run their business. Like,
yeah,
just people are not a fan of GameStop as a whole, whether or not it has to do with going outside, you know what I mean? Like, people just don't like GameStop anymore.
Yeah, I
can include myself in that as well.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat as you on that one. I mean, and also to kind of, it's honestly just it's still shocking though. I think it's still very shocking just to kind of see something so that was once so big fall. I mean, it's kind of like, we remember Blockbuster, but it kind of feels like similar to that.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like Blockbuster.
And I honestly think I understand that there's still some market for it. I just don't think there's enough. And I honestly don't think they're going to survive this. I would not be surprised if by the end of this they announced that they were going bankrupt.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with that either, honestly. Especially because of the way they treated their employees over the past week or so too.
Right.
They're dealing with a lot of backlash, and it might be time for them to be done.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest, but
So I do want to shout out real quick to Darth Pascal. He was bringing some humor in these crazy times. He said, "When are you getting a face cam?" To answer your question to that, I guess I could use the camera that's on here, but it's not going to be great. I just use it because I figured, I don't know. It might my handsome face might be distracting to you viewers.
Oh yeah.
And I don't want to distract
Wouldn't be able to
you
pay attention.
more than normal. Yeah, you need to pay attention to me infecting the world in this game. But also, you can't get it at GameStop, he said. Oh man, too soon, Darth Pascal. No, I'm kidding. You can't share digital copy, and that was his argument against why you should get physical media. I'm assuming. Mr. Otter said, going back to movie theaters, I just saw an article that says Cineplex executives are taking 80% pay cuts in an attempt to avoid potential layoffs. See, I understand that. I respect that. I do feel like it's not all in payroll. But again, I don't know what their numbers are, so I can't really speak 100% to that. And then, at least on most platforms, it's not shared. Once you can still get games at Walmart, was his point. You can't get them at Walmart still, though. So wait, where can I get a webcam? You can get them at Walmart, I think. Right? But 80% pay cuts is a lot. I think that's the thing is, like, I think the entertainment industry particularly is getting hit heavy because they rely consistently on people coming out. Even like sports, like sports is getting hit heavy too, because obviously you need it's multifaceted, because from a sports perspective you need the live. I know I'm talking. Mr. Otter must be putting his face because I'm talking about sports in this. That's the only, which is crazy to hear Burke speak about sports. But I think this is crazy. I think I'm about to win. Mr. Darth Pascal, see, now you can't. Oh, you meant you can. Okay, so Walmart, I can get a webcam. Maybe I'll look into it. I still have to figure out how I want to work my setup. I'm going to be starting doing streaming on more days, which I'll get to at the end of this. But I want to do more streams. Burke, I watch more sports than you. You watch 200 times more sports than me because I don't watch sports. And I apologize, but I'm not, I guess, apologizing for that. The thing is, like, you know, you talk about that. You have, like, they make their money from live, like people that come actually to the stadiums to watch it. They make money from the people that, I don't know, they make money from people that watch it online. There's there's so many ways that you make money in sports, and you can't even have the sports because no one can go to actually perform, right? Like, you can't actually have you can't have matches or you can't have games because that's too much like contact in a time like this. So it's like, especially with already so many athletes already having the virus. So it's like, that's one thing where you already can't do anything about it. So that's pretty, like, that's just another example. No, I don't. I'm sorry, Darth Pascal. I'm not really a sports guy. I like playing sports. I'm not a super big fan of watching them. I've always wanted to be a soccer fan, but I just never took the time to like invest in it. I think that's the thing. I think I could be a fan of any sports team or any sport in general. I just would have to take the time to actually like invest in like learning more about it. And I understand how most sports work. I just don't like care enough to invest heavy in it. So I've never really invested the time. Merchandising is way more. Most sports teams make money, so this isn't that bad for them. That's a good point. That's a really good point. I actually didn't think about. If merchandising is a big thing, and it's the same with like Disney makes a lot in merchandising, but they make it a lot through their parks. That's why Disney's getting hit so hard. But it's certainly an interesting time for entertainment in general. Darth Pascal said one thing that's amazing about GameStop is that you can get collector's editions for the price of regular games if they are used. I've gotten about $40 Steelbook cases doing that, or they just give them to me for free. That's awesome. But I wonder if a lot of the reasons you can get those good deals is because they're trying to just keep your business. But I don't know. I can't speak to that.
Maybe. I think it's certainly a possibility. But one of the things, like, with GameStop, like, the one thing that's kept it in business for so long, I think, is because of the idea of trade-ins.
Right.
And things like that, and like being able to sell your games. But like now with all that's going on, that's going to be a lot harder for this. They actually announced that they're not doing that anymore at all.
They're not doing trade-ins.
Yeah, they're not doing trade-ins at all right now. So.
So to me, that seems like the nail in the coffin there for that.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I mean, like, that's, I guess. The reason I brought that up is because, like, that's, I guess, the response to your comment about how, they're they don't have a market. So, like, that's, and the answer to things like, well, what about Walmart or Target, like that kind of thing, so, like, I guess there is a reason for them to still exist after all this, but whether or not they actually can, that is yet to be seen.
Huh. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to follow it, see what happens.
Yeah, and also, speaking of video games, I was thinking about this earlier. I also wanted to bring up how, we should talk about how the opposite, how this virus is influencing, or how games are influencing the virus, because we just had Animal Crossing come out
right
the other day, and people got way happier than they were before. So, like, it's like this really weird thing now where you know, we're in the middle of this like huge pandemic, you know, this huge
Right.
chaotic mess. But at the same time, like, thank God for video games, because
Right.
if it weren't for things like, you know, Animal Crossing and even Doom Eternal, I've seen people loving Doom Eternal. I picked it up and it's not a bad game.
And you know what? That's the real. So this is I think that's honestly the real reason I want to talk about this topic, because there's the big aspect at the front of this, right? And it's kind of like, you know, same thing. My tag was like my title of the video is called. Same thing. Everything is like the reason we're like, you know, playing this game almost even like is because like there's so much doom and gloom on the front. And sometimes it's like that's what people look at, and that's the reason like more people were willing to like see what's going on in this video. What am I talking about? But reality is, like people are rallying, people are supporting each other, and more important, like not at all more importantly, but like one of the most interesting things is gaming is doing really well. Streaming is doing really well. We have a lot of brick and mortar stores are getting hit, and that's really sad. And we have a lot of like a lot of stores are getting hit hard. But one of the big things that's getting pushed right now is the idea of teleworking and the idea of like working from home, being independent from home. And there's this new, I think it's pushing forward this new revolution of technology being kind of even more at the forefront of our lives than it's ever been before. And a lot of jobs will probably come out of this and start to realize, hey, we can start to work from home. But this has been because so many people are at home and on their like hanging out at home, they're figuring out that there's a lot you can do at home. And one of the big things people go to is gaming. And that's why I wanted to actually talk about this. Apparently, Steam last weekend, like this past weekend, had a record high for the largest amount of users in a single day in history of Steam. And that's big.
I'm not surprised, man.
On top of that, a ton of other industry like things like Twitch and like YouTube, like they're hitting like record highs for like views and like users.
Yeah, Twitch is absolutely thriving right now.
Right. And so it's like there's just so much going on online right now. And that's because like when you can't reach your community elsewhere, like the community online is growing and becoming more prevalent now than ever. And people are rallying together on the internet. Right? Yeah. Communities are coming together in gaming. And people that haven't been able to like I was just thinking about how many like I just, you know, we just started a Civ game, me and some friends, and we had 8 of us playing, and I can't think of the last time I think I was able to get a game of 8 of us together was like junior year of college, which is like 3 years ago now, which is now I feel old for mentioning that. But seriously, like that's crazy that like we're actually like a community starting to be formed online.
Yeah.
To compensate for that, and it just shows people's resilience and ability to, you know, stay together and really rely on each other in a time like this, which is it's pretty impressive. I think I'm honestly like I'm happy to see that people are willing to come together and are taking advantage of this time to still, you know, not. I mean, obviously, for every case of that, there are also cases of people that aren't doing good things, you know, and are kind of, you know, there's tons of bad things that are happening, but there are good things. There are people coming together amidst this crisis, and I think that's like a powerful thing right now. And I think it's cool that the gaming industry is thriving, and it's giving people a place to go, even though all of this is going down, like happening. And I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are, because I mean, I think that's the big thing. Is also Netflix almost broke the internet. I still don't understand the full story of that, but apparently, like, there are so many users on Netflix that like something happened where they were basically just like using like so much bandwidth. I don't know. I don't even understand how that works, but it was something crazy happened where like Netflix was basically like using a ridiculous amount of bandwidth because so many people were using it. There's just a lot of stuff going on right now. excited to see how the gaming industry evolves. And I think that there is like hope amidst everything that's going wrong. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I mean, like, I'm just happy that we have stuff like this. I mean, like, from a business perspective and from like an industry perspective, like, it's great, that these companies are thriving and that they'll still be around and, yada, yada, whatever. I'm just happy that that we have like things like this to be able to,
right,
to turn to when stuff like this goes wrong. And like, that's why I mentioned Animal Crossing. 'Cause like, like I said, there are like, that has made people's lives like so much better.
Right.
And that's, and it's funny because like, there are a lot of people who would hear something like, oh, Animal Crossing has changed my life for the better, and they would probably be like, okay, kid, like, relax.
Right.
But like, for us in a moment like this, like, it's not completely out of the question. It's not, something that's like that hard to understand. Yeah,
people are starting to really relate and understand, like, hey, like, this is what this part of like this community, like these gaming communities, they're starting to get a little more understanding for like what they do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it's just rad that we have stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's awesome to have stuff that we can lean on in a time like this, and I think the gaming industry is doing a lot to help people to stay home, and it's helping to prevent the spread of this disease. I think there's still a lot of people that don't understand the severity of staying home, of social distancing, and I think the gaming industry is helping to fight off some of those people. Be like, hey, here's some stuff to do and stay home, and you can still play with your friends, you can still hang out with them, just you don't have to be in the same room. And I think we're living in like, we're living in a different time, and I think I'm very grateful that we have things to lean on in times like this. So it's awesome to see that we have some like things that people can lean on and like stay sane amidst all of this.
Yeah.
Because after all, I mean, that's what we're looking for, is something to keep us sane.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Do you have anything else to say on that? I think I've said my piece. There's a lot to talk about, but I think we covered a lot of it.
I think I said pretty much everything that I had to say.
So I'm gonna kind of open it up to you guys. Do you guys have anything you want to talk about? Now's the floor for everyone in the chat. Yeah, a bunch of people went on spring break despite warnings. I'm pretty sure all of them tested positive. That did happen. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to make a note. We did do a contest on Instagram for we basically were trying to decide whether we're going to do a battle bracket of the best MCU battle bracket of the MCU villains, where it's basically who would win, and you go through the tournament, or who is the best MCU villain. We ultimately, it was pretty close, and it came out to like one vote, and we went with the battle bracket. So we are going to be doing who would win in the MCU fights. I don't think it's as clear cut as people think it is, but I think it's going to be cool to do. So also, like, I'm going to be putting a post up in the next day or two about how it's going to be working. It's just been busy, so it's been hard to kind of get that out, but that's going to be fun. And then I think on top of that, once we do that, it'll be like tournament. I'll be putting out posts pretty often with that, and basically it'll just be through engagement on Instagram. But I also want to start putting out more weekly videos on YouTube as well. So I'm going to try to start doing like live YouTube videos as well, just to create more content with my face on it, because I've noticed that like I've kind of not. I think my YouTube live the other day was the first time I've actually like put my face on a video in a while. So I'm gonna get more comfortable with speaking to the camera again. So I want to do that again.
That's fair.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of really cool topics. It's been a slow time for pop culture topics recently. I don't know if you've noticed that. Like the MCU's kind of, I mean, other than cancellations and delays, it's been slow for the MCU. Star Wars had some recent news. Like, I don't know if anyone heard about the Ahsoka Tano stuff.
No, I haven't heard anything from Star Wars in a while.
Yeah, are you a Star Wars person?
Not so much. I enjoy the movies, but I'm not too invested. I actually didn't see the last one. So,
right.
But yeah, I mean, I feel about Star Wars kind of the same way I feel about the MCU, which is just like, these are movies that I enjoy. I think I like to think that I'm a little bit more knowledgeable about the MCU, but
right.
Overall, it's not something that I get like very deeply invested in.
Yeah. So I think it'll be, but yeah, so it's been kind of dead right now recently. There's not been a lot to talk about. It's been really, I mean, the coronavirus has really hit every industry. Like we said, it's hit that. But I will be trying to cover more of those topics, even like anime slowed down. I wanted to do more My Hero Academia talk. I wanted to get into that, but I've kind of waited for it. So I'll be trying to do that. Mr. Otter said, you put the aliens. I thought you were referencing Ahsoka Tano being an alien, but that's, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I think that's kind of it. I've touched on it. I think we've hit everything we need to hit for this, and I feel good about it. We'll be doing our open mic stream on Wednesday. I'm gonna try to hit a couple of small topics, but I really want that time to be time where you guys can come on with questions, come to talk about, you know, what's going on with like delays. We could talk. I'll talk about literally anything you guys want to talk about. So come into that chat and fill it up with your questions and comments, because I just want to hear what you guys have to say. I know I can talk for hours, but I'd rather hear what you guys want to talk about. So, I mean, thank you, Noah, for coming out today.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me as always.
Yeah, man. And thanks for showing me this game that I do not have a good record with so far.
Yeah, it starts that way for a while, and you start to get the hang of it the more you play.
Yeah. Thanks, Snaps 45, and also thank you guys. This was a poppin' chat day. You guys are all in here. This is crazy. Do you guys prefer? I'm curious. Do you guys prefer this kind of content, talking about like current events like this and how they relate to the industries that we like, or do you prefer that I keep it more fun going and kind of like less self-aware? Because I know that like you sometimes run the risk of like you talk too much about like I don't want to be too much doom and gloom. I don't want to talk about like a bunch of sad stuff and kind of like, I mean, I think we ended on a positive note with looking at all the stuff that's going well. But I don't know. Do you guys prefer that I do this kind of conversation? Do you prefer that we just kind of maybe step away from these type of topics and step more into like the actual fandoms themselves? Let me know here, or honestly, you can tell me, DM me on Instagram, or just tell me here, whatever you guys want. Because I mean, we can do a combination of them. I'll probably continue to do that unless people tell me to stop. I don't know. But oh my goodness, you know it's bad when they recommend I start playing on casual mode. Jeez. But yeah, Mr. Otter said, I think current news can be good talk about if they're are really relevant to pop culture. We talk about like because of how entertainment is being impacted. I think today's topic was fine. Yeah, I think for today I was like hard not to talk about it. Because I mean, like I thought about like we could talk about some of the like little bit of Star Wars news. We could talk about what's the future of the MCU, or we could talk about My Hero Academia, which is on a filler arc right now, and I'm so upset with it.
Yeah, no. I think it's the end of the season, and they're
I know. I need this is the time that I need a not filler arc, and I have it, and it's frustrating.
I know, right?
But so that's kind of like. It was like I could do all these other conversations, but it just felt like this is the thing we had to talk about right now. So, and especially I know like Phil brought it up, and I wanted to make sure I kind of like discuss that because it is a cool, like an interesting topic. I don't want to say cool topic. It's an interesting topic. to talk about right now. We're really in speculation. We don't really know what's going to go on. And I wanted to kind of drop that last bit of good news, just kind of that, like, now is the time that we are kind of coming together as a community. This is like an opportunity for all us to invest in our connections online and, you know, build those relationships. So I think it's a good time for that. But again, let me know what I could be doing better. And as always, I hope you guys are having an awesome time. And oh my goodness, I don't know you got to teach me how to find that emoji. Actually, I'm just gonna copy it. You gotta do that.
You can't use it. It's a channel specific emote.
No. All right, I'll find it. Well, anyway, I hope that you guys are having an awesome day, and I'll see you guys on the next stream. Thanks, guys, so much for coming out.
See you guys.